Hey YouTube, it's Hieratic Master, and today I'm bringing you an update on my Hieratic Dragon deck build. Been playing with it a little more. I have not actually tested this version, so I apologize for not having tested it, but I wanted to get this one out to you guys because I feel like the old build wasn't working quite as consistently as it had started off looking as if it would. Because I had been testing it, it was working pretty well, and then when I really started playing it, it was just doing okay. So I figured I'd just update it using some stuff I've seen other people doing, things that I thought would work that I've seen other people using. So this is my update. So here we go. Still gonna be running the standard 3 Tefnuit, 3 Esset, and 3 Sue. I still prefer to only run 2 Nebthet, that's just personal preference. I've bumped up to 3 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, we'll get into that later. Still Wattail and Luster Dragon number 2. I have the super rare, which is a misprint on the Luster Dragon number 2, so that's why it says Luster Dragon. 3 Effect Veilers, finally got my 3rd ultimate. And then 3 Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo, and since we have a lot of lights and 6 darks, going to be running Black Luster Soldier this time. So that's it for the monsters. Gonna jump into the spells. I've got 3 Seal of Convocation, 3 MST, 2 Lance, Reborn, Dark Hole, and Heavy Storm. That wraps up the spells. Finally going to jump into the traps here. Obviously we've got the 2 Art of Super Transformation, 1 Solemn, 2 Solemn Warning, and 2 Dark Bribe. Let me just run through the extra deck before I talk about the rest of the changes and why I did them. So first off, the 3 Dragon King of Atum. Really like the best Exceed that we could have asked for. We've got 3 Gaia Dragon, the next best that we could have asked for this deck. Got the 1 Exabeetle, 1 Strike Bouncer. We've got Tyrus and Adrius for the 5s. And then finally, wrap it up with the Synchros. Got 1 Black Rose, 1 Exploder Dragon Wing, 1 Bryo, and Orient Dragon. You don't synchro too often in this deck, so Orient Dragon is mainly there to get rid of things like Stardust Dragon that are bothering you, or just other synchros that you face, or if you face Lavels, which might become big soon enough. I don't know, whatever it is you face that makes synchros, or even just Stardust Dragon, because most decks will still play at least Stardust Dragon. And then finally, since I side Cyber Dragon, I run this. Or if someone misplays and leaves a Cyber Dragon and a Machine type out, always good to punish them for that. So, I mean, that's it for the deck. I'm not going to be showing a side deck or anything. So, I'm going to jump into some of my choices. So, I already explained Orient Dragon. Pretty good choice there. These 2, before I was only running Tyrus, I decided to run Adrius just for cases where Adrius would be better. I rarely go into a rank 5, but when I do, if Tyrus is a bad choice, I want to have Adrius just in case. And there was enough room, so I threw it in. Because obviously if there wasn't enough room, this wouldn't be in there either. So, next up for my choices, the 2 Lances. They keep monsters alive that you really just need to keep alive. Like, say, if they try to bottomless you when you go into this, or whatever it is that they try to do. Torrential on one of the things you could keep alive. Maybe Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Stuff like that just really works. Helps you out, keeps you alive. So next up, the 3 MSTs. The only question that I could see you guys asking on why I'm running that now is that we have Sue, and using these to pop the back row kind of defeats the purpose when you can use Sue's effect to get out even more normal monsters. So you can have Sue and 2 normals to just make your make getting game in one turn a lot easier, to make the OTK go off a lot better. And the thing is, if they should, say, try to, like, say they have a solemn warning, and you try to go off with this, boom, it's going to stop you before you can even do any of that, and this is pretty dead. Granted, they'd probably warning something like this, or this first, but you can MST before you do any of that, and you can go off a lot safer, because this deck just wants to go off. And obviously if you go off, and we don't have Gustav Max, so if you go off and you can't get game, you've got the 2 bribes and the Solemn to protect yourself from stuff like Dark Hole. So that's it on that. Blackluster Soldier, obviously it's a light-oriented deck with 3 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 3 Hanzo, so good number of darks. With that being said, we'll move into my choice on the Hanzo. Hanzo is very important to this, because I was running Battle Faders before and other such stuff to complement Card D, which I also took out. The Card Ds were they were helpful and all, but I just found it that I had built the deck originally based off of how things had worked before for the format, and everything kind of changed recently, and I didn't really respond to that well enough. But I tried making changes. I kept in the Monster Gate, which was probably bad because I had 3 Veilers, 3 Faders, and 2 Card D at that point, and it wasn't working out too well because I'd always hit a Fader or a Veiler, or sometimes even Card D, which was awful. But originally I was not running the Veilers, and that didn't happen quite as often because I'd usually drop Battle Fader, tribute it, and I would have usually used a Card D, so the chances were I would hit a level 6 monster or a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So I didn't change that, and it was just, the deck was getting worse and worse every time I changed it. And then I finally realized that I was making changes that were conflicting with the rest of the deck. So this solves all of that. He comes out, he makes sure that they get rid of their Veiler so that you can safely do this later on, because they don't want you to get this. And if you get this, it's good monster control. You can get rid of their monsters, just send them to the grave, and then you've got so many dragons. If they should have a high enough level, you can go into this, but typically you're just going to go into something like Sue, and then next turn activate the effect to pop back row or something. But usually it's just because this thing can be normal summoned, it's a dark, it's 1800 attack, and if this should go off, great. If they Veiler it, awesome as well, because that gets rid of Veiler for you. That's pretty much all there is to say about that, because he's normal summonable. He kind of helps you control not being killed so fast. He's 1800, which is strong enough to keep you alive. It'll lose to some things. Side deck Camaro Dragos as well. Those help out a lot. The next decision, bumping up to 3 of these. I like it at 2, and I also like it at 3. I've said this multiple times. It's really just personal preference. And in this build, I think it'll work better at 3. Because if you draw it and you go off, then you can just drop it on one of your useless ones, seeing as we can't exceed with them anyway. You just drop it on the useless one. So this thing's 0 attack, 0 defense, banish it, summon this one, and you get an extra monster. So it just keeps things going, and it gives you a 2800 attacker. So kind of makes up for Gustav not being there. And yeah. Next up, 3 Veilers. I just want to explain this a little bit. this deck is very, very vulnerable to a lot of things. You could even maybe probably side deck 3 Max C's. I'm not doing that right now. I'm working on getting my Max C's. But if they wind up loop you, you know, you're dead. If they start special summoning things, you want to have control. So what I do is I drop Veilers, stop them from doing all of their effects to special summon, or if you wanted to, you could drop a Max C so that you can get the draw power you need. This does a little bit more than Max C in my opinion. It also opens up synchro plays, so I think it's very worth it, but it just depends on what you think is good. So, but yeah, this thing is definitely necessary. It's kind of like why I was running Battle Fader before. It keeps your opponent from getting rid of your monsters, keeps your opponent from going off and killing you while you have almost no monsters because you haven't gone off yet. Stuff like that. And it's an early light to get into the graveyard should you open up a bunch of Sues and not be able to play anything. And then if you can get one of these into the graveyard, you can drop this. If you get one of those bad hands where you can't summon any of your monsters, and all you've got is Hanzo and Veiler, good way to open up a Blackluster Soldier play. So, that's it for this update, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this will work a lot better. As I said, I haven't tested it fully, but the old builds I realized really wasn't working as well as I thought it was. Because every time I changed it, it was worse and worse, and I kind of gave you guys a changed version and said I had been testing it because I had been testing it, but I changed it a lot based on performance and then didn't test the changes as much as I should have. But I hope you guys enjoyed this update. It's definitely looking like it'll work a lot better. Obviously I haven't tested it, don't take my word for it, but I think the whole Hanzo idea is a better way to cope with the lack of Gustav Max and stuff like that than trying to just Fader, basically. Because Gustav Max makes it easier to OTK, and without the OTK I was relying on stopping Black Hole, and if I couldn't, Dark Hole, sorry, getting games mixed up. There's a Black Hole in another game I play. So yeah, stopping Dark Hole, and if I didn't, I'd at least have Fader and then Card-Cardy and more Faders to save me, but that wasn't working too well. I mean, it did work, don't get me wrong, but I think this is a better answer to that. So, I'll test it more, give you guys my opinion on that. I'll just post that to my feed or leave it as a comment to this video or something when I finally test this a lot and get good results. By good results, I don't mean if it does well, I'll tell you, and if it doesn't, I won't. I mean good enough results, either good or bad performance, to be able to judge whether it's doing good or bad. Yeah, I've rambled on long enough at the end of this video, so thanks for watching, guys, and have a nice day.